Welcome back to Disenfranchised. I am your host, Travis Gearhart, and I am also here with
Keith Cunningham.
And we are
Disenfranchised. We're here with...
we have a special... Sorry, buddy.
You go ahead. You got it.
Oh, I'll say we have a special guest tonight. We actually have the Democratic candidate. Well, I guess, do you have a primary?
Yeah.
primary?
I'm not being, there's no other person in the primary, so it's just
Okay,
me.
yes,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Do you have a primary?
Yeah.
So
No,
okay, so
no
right now we
challenger.
have the lone Democratic candidate for District 11 state rep seat, running against what's his name?
Mike Aylesworth.
Mike Aylesworth.
Mike Aylesworth.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I literally, as everybody that's been watching this show the past 2 weeks has seen, all of my stuff has been while I was in California, so I'm still a little jet lagged. I just got off the plane, literally an hour 45 minutes ago, drove from O'Hare, got home, hooked up my computer, and now we're doing this. So, and I'm
Yes,
here
sir.
for it, baby. It's fun. We're doing
Yes,
it.
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'll let Keith start off here.
Yeah, I was, for some reason, it seems like I'm always scrolling through Facebook. I find something interesting, and I saw that I saw your post on Facebook talking about doing like a town hall or a meet and greet at
Yeah.
Hebron Library and DeMont Library. I saw that, and I was
Yes,
like,
sir.
this guy's running against Aylesworth. He'd be an interesting one to talk to.
Yeah, that's usually how these have gone. Keith sniffs him out like a bloodhound, and he's like, "Hey." And then, although
Yeah.
usually I end up being the one to reach out, Keith actually was the one that set this all up. So
Yeah. I'm glad you saw it. I'm glad that it reached people, so that's good.
Yeah.
So,
But
so I guess my first thing is obviously, why don't you give us a little bit of background, about yourself? Like I know, you're a teacher. If
Yeah.
you want to just kind of give, just give us a short resume.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like they were saying, my name is Tyler Bridges. I'm 28 years old, so a little bit on the younger side there. I am a teacher. I've been teaching for 5 years. I actually teach in Illinois, which is actually better for teachers. And one of the reasons why I'm running, I want to better things for teachers here in Indiana. I'm part of my union over there, so I'm part of the NEA and the IEA. I'm also a father, so I have a 4-year-old. I went to school locally, so I went to Purdue Northwest up in Hammond. I graduated there, and right now, along with running a campaign, I'm in school getting my master's for political science. Yeah, and I'm teaching every day still while running a campaign.
Yeah.
Some of the reasons why I'm running, I think I mentioned off the bat there, I'm a father. I'm not really happy with how things are going. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. I'm not happy with where the state's going, where our country is going, and wanted to at least be able to say, hey, I tried, I stepped up, I wanted to make a difference, that kind of thing. And then another reason is like I fully believe in the political discourse of politics, right? That talking with each other. And in the District 11, no one has ran against Aylesworth since 2020.
Oh, really?
We haven't had a Democrat run since the map's been redrawn.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted to be like, all right, we need to have some Democratic voices. I believe in a lot of the... Sorry, my cat's making an
That's
appearance.
right. My dogs are running around behind, so
I fully believe in having that wide range of ideas and views, because not one side has all of the good ideas. Not one person will have all the good ideas. We have to have a conversation to have good legislation, good laws, all those kind of things. So that's kind of the little rundown for you.
Okay. I know, Keith, you had some kind of points you wanted to tick off.
Is this the first time you've tried running for office?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I kind of went, I hope someone's going to run, and I could just kind of waited and waited. I was in contact with local leaders, and I'm like, all right, let's see who runs. Let's see who runs. And then no one was stepping up. I'm like, all right, let me give Mike Repay, who's the chair of Lake County for the Democrats, a quick message and just have a meeting with him. And he's like, yeah, I would love for you to run. I was like, all right, let me try it. Let me go out here and give it my best, and be more involved. I didn't feel like I was involved enough in 2024, and I kind of regret that. So
and to be fair with 2024, I mean that election cycle, that's probably a good one, not a good one for you to start with.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
No, you're definitely
yeah. Not
starting
not
at the right
not per
time.
se running for anything involved, because many people can be involved without running
Right.
for something. And I wish I got out there and knocked on doors for people. I wish I was having conversations with local Dems, because I think in some parts the party got messaging wrong that I'm representing in this race. I think sometimes we get the messaging wrong, and at least being part of the conversation would have helped.
Yeah. Well, and I definitely see that. I mean, from our own, obviously, we've talked, the whole point of this of really what we have put together with this podcast is that we were former Republicans that both in one way or another became disenfranchised with the party and really disenfranchised with politics in general.
Yeah.
And that's really that's what, obviously, like we were talking a little bit beforehand, that pushed me. I was always a little bit more of a libertarian-esque Republican anyways, so it
Uh-huh.
wasn't a long drop or fall or reach, however you want to exemplify it. It
Yeah.
wasn't that much of a reach for me then to go from a small L to a big L libertarian. The main thing about being a libertarian is it's most important that I tell other libertarians that they're not actual libertarians. That's the main that's the most important job of being a libertarian.
Uh,
Keith, again, I don't want to speak for him, but I know he's still a little bit more in the independent category, just kind of, what was it you said before,
Yeah,
the
yeah, R for radical.
yeah, the R radical.
But I
So,
think, with the political climate right now and how things are going, the next election is gonna be a good election for the Democrats. I think they'll have
oh
a good
yeah, yeah,
turnout.
you're running on a good time. I mean, anybody
yeah.
with eyeballs and
District
ears can tell there's going to be a blue wave across the
Yeah.
dis
country.
District 11 has, changed in the last 5 years. You have, the growth in Lowell and Cedar Lake and now Hebron. You're bringing a lot of
Yeah.
people in from Illinois. Um,
Yep.
it used to be Hebron was, I'd say, 60-40 Democrat. Lowell, Cedar Lake was actually heavy Republican, and, Lowell was
Yeah.
fairly heavy
Yeah.
Republican, but I think that's changed. Now
Yeah,
when
and
you
District 11 added a bunch of, Newton County. It used to go more towards, like, Calps and just, like, the outskirts of Valpo.
Yep,
So now when they redrew it, they just picked a lot of that rural area too, but yeah.
and that rural area, when you get south, like, it goes all the way into Lake Village.
Yeah, it goes actually down to Morocco, just
Yep.
south of Morocco, that line,
So
so
so once you
it
That's
get
an
goes pretty
entirely
south.
south
different country. No, I'm just joking.
it is once you get south of 10, though, there's, like, small, sporadic little subdivisions in Lake Village,
Yeah,
and the majority of those people that live there came from Illinois. A lot of them, a lot of people moved from, like, Illinois to Cedar Lake, and then the Cedar Lake people moved down to Lake Village, but
yeah,
it's definitely a changing district. I
yeah,
think Demont, you're still gonna have, heavy Republican support here, but, Cedar Lake, Lowell, I mean,
Yeah, all the Dutch.
yes,
that's
yes.
true.
Yeah,
And it
and
just is.
I was born and raised in Lowell, so I'm kinda used to all the political background to it there, and it's interesting. It is changing there a bit.
Well, so with this being your first time running and stuff, what's
Yeah,
some of I guess what's some of your main what's some of your main points? Like, well, I know you kind of had said, just a minute ago, like you didn't like some of the directions and whatnots.
yeah.
Looking through, while I was at the airport, I did get a chance to do a little bit. I followed your candidacy page,
Thank you.
and yeah, absolutely. And I'll expect a like back or a follow back
Oh,
for the
yes,
content.
yes, absolutely,
And,
absolutely.
because as the listeners know, and as we were talking just before, we're actually running for the same seat, not the same seat, but the same, a state rep seat. Me,
Yep.
District 4, him, District 11, him as a Democrat, me as a Libertarian. And so I guess my biggest thing is, what are some of the things, like, all right, you win the election, day one, like kind of what's your priority? Like, what would you consider to be just like the first couple of things?
Yeah,
you know, Obviously a lot of things depend. You have to be able to have some sort of, you're going to need more Democrats win across states to be able to make a big push if that's the case. But let's say even if they didn't, you still have to work with Republicans. So
Yeah.
while you're in there, you can't just say no, no, no to everything. You want to come up with some bills. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
being
absolutely.
facetious or not anything.
Yeah.
But that's so like day one, what's your kind of top priority?
Um, throughout this, I've been telling people, I want to be part of the conversation on education. Now, I know that might not be on the top of people's
No, I
ideas
think
of
it's pretty
what
close up
should be
there. I think
important
it's
in
up
this
there.
state, but for me, it's the most important. I think education leads us into our future. If we get our
Yeah.
education wrong now as a state, we're going to be in trouble in the future. So, education for me, I want first off to be on the committee for that. I'm talking about bills, negotiating on things. I'm not a huge fan of the voucher system. I can go into that further if you'd like, but I'm not a huge fan of the voucher system. I'm not a huge fan of us. I mean, Republicans will say, oh, we increased the funding for public schools. But again, we are one of the lowest states when talking about per spending per student. So increasing that public funding for public schools. But we also like, if you have been in a classroom recently, we have to modernize. The education system is out of date. So we have to think about, okay, we need digital literacy in classrooms because and more you're going to get in this area within the internet um, where you don't know what is factual and what isn't. So we have to give digital literacy throughout school. And in a lot of cases in schools, they are just seen as skills that we teach. Again, that's the little details there, but education's a big one. I know utility bills right now is big. We'll see how that House Bill 1007 does. I know it's coming up to vote here soon,
And what's
but
the what's
utility.
1007 entail?
So it was introduced about so it talks about limiting the price hikes. It's about limiting the transportation costs. It's about giving the IURC back its regulatory power, that kind of stuff. From my understanding, they also introduced a bill where customers will get the same tax exemptions that data centers are getting.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah. Again, I
but
was just petting my German Shepherd right here.
that one failed today. Again, it's hard to follow all of these, but they are the big thing in this current session is that the utility prices and the utility bills and
Yeah.
stuff like that,
Yeah.
which I think is important because people are hurting with it.
Oh, without a
But
doubt.
for myself personally, education, going back to what you're saying, education's a kind of my big thing that I'm running on, that I care about. It's top of the pecking order.
Okay. And I'll kind of let Keith jump in because again, Keith was on a school board for how
Yeah.
long? 5 years.
Five
So
years
so
till
he
I
can
moved
definitely
out
have
here.
some more info. My mom was a teacher. She just retired. She was a teacher for 26 years, something like that. So especially when you're talking about the voucher system, we've both heard it 1,000 times over of the issues with the voucher system where you're the idea of the voucher system is good in theory, but in
Yes.
practice, you end up just shortchanging the towns that really need that funding the most. And there's a bunch of other little details with it that especially with private schools, they don't have the same standards that the public schools have to follow. So there's definitely a lot of stuff that can and should be fixed with that.
Yeah.
Keith will I'm sure has more ins and
Yeah.
outs about it than.
Honestly, when being a councilman for however long and a school board member, school board was very boring. I prefer town council. I mean, it was okay. I liked we kind of reformed how much they get paid in Hebron. We the starting pay when I left,
Yeah.
we got it up to is a little over 50,000. But that was your starting pay. After the starting pay, we need to build well, I'm a teamster. I've been a teamster for 22 years. So we
Yeah.
need more of a pay system like that.
So did they have a pay schedule, if you don't mind me asking? Because I
No.
know it's not a requirement in Indiana.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Yeah,
We
right now I'm on a pay schedule, so I get a pay raise every single year, which is kind of like a requirement in Illinois or
Mhm.
something similar to that, which again needs to be a requirement in this state. You have to,
It
you
Well,
know,
especially with the way that the
so
government at the federal level has been fucking us with inflation. I mean,
yeah,
let's just call it what it is. I
we
mean,
were
yeah,
we were running into every time we'd raise the pay, the minimum starting pay, like we hit up to, I want to say 50 grand, but it was a little more than that. We'd have, here's the new teacher making 50 grand, and here's the teacher that's been there for 5 years making 50,800. So
yeah,
we did not
yeah,
create, well, at least in my time, we did not create a pay schedule. I did show them the pay schedule that we have, like through my work and through our Teamsters contract. Like this is what we need to create. Just
mhm,
never during my term, we just never got around to it. But we were doing, I mean, we did so much in Hebron. We did, I'm not sure if Lowell did it, but we did it, solar panels all over the roof.
good, good. That's awesome.
We did, created a cantilever system to put solar panels over the top of the buses. So,
Okay.
solar panels are keeping the buses out of the weather. That was actually pretty interesting. We used a
how
company
much did
called,
that really cut off not to interrupt you, but how much did that really take off the bill though? That's my question because I've got a
Mm,
bunch of buddies that I know that work at NIPSCO and they again, they're all for different green energy stuff. Like I don't want to say like, oh, let's not try to do anything renewable, but they pretty much so what I'm hearing from them is that pretty much what NIPSCO does is they get subsidized to do the green energy and then they also then use it as a write-off. So they basically double dip with the government tax
mhm,
dollar in order to do the green energy stuff. So
well, the
at a
school
certain point you
project.
go, is this worth it? You
Well, with
know?
the school project, the only thing that really made it worth it was the federal grants that were available.
Right.
The
Yeah.
federal grants weren't available, it would cost too much. I mean, it would take too long to recoup the money.
Well, and again, like I'm all for renewable, and I know we're getting a little off the beaten path, but like I'm all for renewable energy, but just like solar and wind, they just both suck. Like all the science I've looked at, and they're fine if you're doing it and it's going directly. That's why I was asking how the school worked, because it's fine if it's going right there. But the biggest issue with that, at least the stuff that I've read, and again, I'm no scientist by any stretch, but a lot of the stuff I've read says that when you like say you got a solar panel at the let's say at the school and it's coming to my house over here in Malden, you lose per I forget how they measure it, like per feet or mile, you lose a significant amount of energy
uh,
in the transfer of it. So
Yeah,
it's
but
only
that's
efficient short term. That's why I was wondering if they got anything really written off of it. You know what I mean? Like how much it
that's
really
a
saved.
that's a solar panel, out in a field going to your house. On the school, it's on top of the roof.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not miles away. It's 100 feet away.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, and that's why I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how much of it. Obviously,
And
again,
you know
I don't
the
want to
elementary
I
school, Travis. That's elementary schools covered. It's what, 50% roughly. And
yeah,
now
yeah.
we're doing another project, which I was in the design phase of it. They're supposed to break ground. I don't know what month, whenever the weather breaks, they're supposed to break ground, and we're building a field house, and
that's cool.
that's kind of like a combined project. I don't remember the exact word for it, but it was a designed field house plus there was a energy savings with it because we're putting solar panels on it too.
There you go. Yeah,
That project I enjoy.
the big thing with these schools is like they have to think about how they're gonna save money, especially with the Senate Bill 1 from last year. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I'm
know it
glad you.
lowers our property tax.
Okay, Senate Bill 1
Yeah, go ahead.
is 10% credit up to $300 on homestead property on your homestead, basically, as a deduction. They're freezing and
Mhm,
limiting tax growth. They froze it for 2026. They're limiting it, or they're requiring special procedures and referendums for some local tax increase. I got to find this one thing that really kind of drove me nuts. Where's
Yeah,
it? Okay. The income
I
and
always do.
local
Oh,
tax
sorry.
changes with Senate Bill 1. Maximum county income tax rates are increased and new local municipal taxes become possible. So they're opening up possibly a whole new taxing bracket that you use against us, and they're
yes.
saving us $300.
Yeah,
It's like And then,
Yeah.
you know what they tout? They're like, "We cut your property taxes." Yeah, you saved
Yeah.
us here and you fucked us here. And if you
Yeah.
really think
Well,
about it,
that's just what the government does.
they're screwing us in the long run.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things, like, that we're trying to push here is, like, yeah, they will push this, "Oh, we lowered the property tax, we lowered the property tax, we saved you this," what you said, $300, but they're gonna find different ways to tax you, right?
Always.
They're
Yeah.
not gonna Here's the thing, if they lower the property tax and that's all they did, they get rid of more money going into towards that surplus, they get rid of money going to public services, but, like, they're all worried about Indiana looking financially sound, you know what I mean? So they're gonna tax you, they're gonna get your money somehow, like you were saying. Um, I don't know about you guys, but I get Lake County tax, and that one sucks, so
Well,
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm
border
getting
counties,
Jasper
I mean,
County
it's
now, so I get 3% income tax.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
so
border
yeah,
counties, they're trying to catch up. We're
yeah,
working on it.
so
You know, it's
yeah,
well, and that's the other thing. So, and I don't I want I'll just give you my take. Like, where we can get a lot of extra tax dollars that will help out with a lot of things. What's legal to the north of us? What's legal to the west of us?
yeah,
To me, at this point, it's asinine. It's asinine. You just had Trump. One of the few good things that I'll credit him with over the past year
mhm,
is he brought the marijuana classification down.
yeah, yeah,
So that was always the complaint about the Republicans in the state house. They said all these years, they said, well, we know it's not even we know that the science is backed it. We know that we've gotten a lot of medicinal uses, yada yada. It's not legal. It's not legal on a national level. We're not going to do it. Well, now it's gotten knocked down a notch, and they're still
yeah,
fucking not doing it. It's
yeah,
asinine to me. I mean,
yeah.
I don't
What's your
understand it.
view on that, Tyler? Do you think they should, legalize
I
marijuana?
I'm like your stereotypical Democrat. Legalize it is my thing.
Okay.
You're absolutely right. We can make money off of it.
Yep. Well,
And
especially you
people
living
like
in Illinois or
around
working in
here, they'll
Illinois, you
drive
should
all the
see
way to
it.
Michigan, you know, buy it, come back. We're losing that revenue. People are smoking it in this state and the like a bunch of them. So why not get the revenue? I absolutely agree with Travis
Yeah.
there.
Well, and it's a combination of not just bringing in the revenue of them purchasing it, but it's of the amount of the enforcement. How much
Yeah.
money do you save on
Yeah.
enforcement? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'll
Absolutely.
shut up. This is your interview. I'm
You're all good. You're all good.
I get no, I
I
get
like it.
I say it all the time. I get to talking, and so,
He's a
but
salesman.
well, Keith, I'm a
Yeah.
What's
well,
your,
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
I have the same problem. I have that stereotypical social studies teacher. We're professional like yappers, so
yeah,
I get it.
what's your
Yeah,
take on,
my girlfriend says I've never met a stranger.
what's your take on turning the interstates into toll roads? How do you feel about that?
Oh god. I not a great idea. I don't Here's the thing about interstates. The purpose of them were never to make a profit off of. I think it's based off the idea of public transportation. And the simplicity of that. It's to help your citizens get from one place to another in a quicker fashion. And that's the point of highways. I know, correct me if I'm wrong, but Braun was pushing this idea, correct?
Yeah.
That he wants them told or whatnot. Not a
Well,
great idea.
the state house actually passed a law the last session that said they're allowed to make any road a toll road.
Yeah,
So they set the framework for it.
that's interesting to me. Again, infrastructure is not my strong suit, but
Yeah.
again, like that's interesting to me because what are we doing? Is that helping Hoosiers?
No,
Is it helping Hoosiers
you're
or is it
punishing the
making
people that
profits? Are we worried about profits or are we worried about Hoosiers? And I
y
don't see
yeah, well,
the
and it's
backstory.
wanting more tax dollars for your areas, I get it, and that's
Yeah,
I understand that, you can have that money go, but you're not getting any extra money from anybody else. They're gonna travel down the same roads that they've been doing, and
yeah,
so all you're doing is hurting the hardworking, people that travel every day for work. That's
yeah, absolutely.
how many more times in a row can we fricking get taxed?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
But yeah, it's a so so with your race, so with you kind of being a a younger Democrat, what is it that other than the fact that it's the opposition, again without beating that dead horse, where
Mhm.
we're at with the with as far as the two political parties. I mean, what is it about the Democrats, the Democratic Party that makes you excited and go, yeah, these are my guys, because I'll be honest with you, they don't look that much different than the elephants from this side of the.
Yeah. And I like, here's my thing. As a Democrat, I think we also have to be critical of our own party. Like, I wasn't too fond of now, I know this is a hot topic right now, but in 2024 and even during Biden's term, I wasn't a fan of his immigration policy, and I think Democrats need to be honest about that. I also don't think the idea or the push for the term defund the police is a good idea. I don't think the terminology of like those kind of things are great ideas, and it's okay to be critical of your own party.
Right.
But the thing that like I care about when talking about the Democrats and what like draws me to them is I think they lead with like my perfect idea of a Democrat is this person that leads with empathy. We tend to think about other people, or at least that's how I see it. I'm not saying Republicans don't think about other people, but I think Democrats are more empathetic in their leadership, empathetic to the single mother, empathetic to the single father, empathetic to situations and trying to find solutions for most people, right? I had a conversation with a farmer and he's just like, well, Democrats don't care about farmers. I'm like, that's not true. I think Democrats care about everyone. And at least that's the Democratic Party I grew up in. I grew up in this time when Obama and this idea of great hope and different things like that. I know his name's not too popular around these parts, but again, that's the party I grew up in and what I kind of link with the Democratic Party. So I guess
So
that's that.
I'll have two real quick things. A quick side note on the farmer. As far as I'm concerned, both the Republicans and the Democrats, they've never seen a farm bill they haven't voted yes on. So
Yeah,
let's be real
that's what I'm
honest. That's
saying.
they'll happily spend tax dollars on farm bills all
Yeah,
day
they're the
long.
backbone of this country. You gotta support our farmers. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, but then the thing I kinda get about, especially being being that you are younger. Now, I mean, you're not that much, I'm 39, Keith, you're what,
Oh,
42?
yeah. Yeah,
So we're
I'm too
not,
much younger.
we got a little bit
Yeah.
of, we got a few more gray hairs in the beard, but, that old, adage of, if you're below 30 and, what's that? And a conservative, you're heartless. If you're above 30 and a liberal, you're brainless, that whole thing.
Yeah, I've heard it. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then me and Keith have went one step forward and said, well, if you're around 40 and you're still involved with either of these fuckers, you're, you
Yeah.
haven't lived, like we've said something, so, kind of along that. And
Yeah.
and so, obviously that's we understand, I totally get that being kind of like your root and your base,
Uh-huh.
Obama was actually the same reason we got involved in politics on the opposite level.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I had a young family and that whole you can keep your insurance. I was one of the people that lost my insurance. I
Oh,
had
wow. Yeah.
so that did hurt me.
Yeah.
And there were
Yeah.
a couple other things, looking back on it now, it is funny that nobody deported didn't hear about it, but actually nobody deported more people than Obama.
Yeah. I just and the thing was, I think it's messaging with the deportations, not to get into the federal whole thing.
No, it's okay, I'm alright with that, I mean, it's
Yeah.
fine,
Yeah.
we can talk about whatever, we don't have to.
But I think I agree, like, Obama can be that type of person to push someone either way, but I think I've heard this topic of, "Well, Obama deported a bunch of people," and yeah, I agree with that, and again, I'm not one of these people like, "Open the border." I'm not that type of Democrat. And I think you have to look into the criminals and different people that are coming in. But I think Obama also realized that a lot of these people are what most immigrants throughout our history have been people just looking for a better life. And I think we treated them a little more humanely than what we're seeing right now. And
Yeah,
I called Senator Jim Banks and Todd Young today, and I was just like, "Hey, I'm not calling for you to abolish ICE or anything like that. Just put restrictions on the amount of power that they have,
yeah,
right?" And that's the thing, you know. So yeah,
And
yeah.
it's being
It's
used right now.
well,
It's all
and
political theater. That's all it is. If you look at how many
yeah,
yeah,
deportation
yeah,
numbers now compared to how many came across the
almost
border,
none.
what they're deporting or yeah, what they're deporting is nothing. This is just political theater to make it
mhm,
look like they're doing something, and they're not. It's a
Yeah,
joke.
yeah,
and you they're really not they're not moving that, and we were talking about it. Well, we talked about it on the last show a little bit, with the latest, killing. I mean, that's what he was. He was murdered in the street.
yes,
And the other thing about it is that he's going after these guys. It's all political. Well, like you said, political theater, but also political revenge. You look
mhm,
at where these guys are at, and they're at places that were not pro-Trump areas.
yeah,
And it doesn't make, Obama moved so many people because he went after the low-hanging fruit, and he went at the areas that would cooperate with him. There are so many red states. I mean, my God, you want to talk about illegals? Just go to fucking Texas or Louisiana, Florida, and you can spend 2-3 years just racking up illegals and sending them back if that's what you want to do. But go start with the low-hanging fruit. Go with the states that have the support that that you can get some help with.
mhm,
It doesn't make sense. The only other thing, and again, not without, I always joke around. I said I need to like make a tinfoil hat to put on when I'm kind of getting in this mode. But the only this stuff really ramped up right around the same time as the Epstein files.
yeah, yeah.
What's
Only
the
1% of those files have been released. Just saying.
Yeah.
So
Oh, dude.
yeah,
And again, that's going to be, that to me is the thing that I think is going to really unite people like us,
mhm,
together, right?
No,
Like
yeah,
there's things that we are definitely differ on.
you know what
What's that?
I think is going to unite us when people file their taxes and they realize they're getting screwed on the no tax on overtime. I
Yeah.
had almost $30,000 in overtime this last year, and my taxable or my qualified overtime 6,200. Why?
yeah, yeah,
So I can already see
yeah,
I'm going to get screwed on that, but I think one
Well,
yeah,
because and to do the math out for people, it's because the no tax on overtime, you would think that it was like, all right, so here's your overtime. You worked 12 hours of overtime, all 12 hours. No, no, no. When you get the time and a half, the only part of it that isn't taxed is that half. That's the only part that they're not taxing. All the rest is still getting taxed at the full amount. So
yeah,
it's like, why? Like it's just so such government, kind of BS. It's exactly what happens at the governmental
yeah,
level, man. I mean,
yeah,
but let's get back into the race a little bit.
yeah.
I know that you don't have all night. I'm sure you wanna get some.
No, I'm enjoying this. This is good. So
This
you're
is
all
fun,
good.
dude.
Yeah,
This is what we do. This
yeah,
is the podcast. We don't, we get on rants. Don't get me wrong. Actually, they got after me. Keith and his wife and his kids were that helped manage our page. I had a really bad day, and I was still in California, and I said the word fuck like, what'd you say, like 300 times in the first like
It
half
was
thing.
135
It
times
was like a
in the
crazy amount.
first
I usually
30 minutes. I was like, Jesus Christ. This is a
Yeah,
yeah,
kid's
yeah,
yeah. And I did
show.
I was half asleep. I was half
yeah.
well,
It's a
not a
kid
kid
show.
show. Come on. We
Yeah,
click the little button that says explicit content when we
yeah,
post it
yeah,
on
yeah.
YouTube and stuff, man.
See, my campaign hat is also my teacher hat where I'm like, all right, can't
And that makes
cuss,
sense for you. Yeah,
you
see,
know,
yeah, see,
so
see, I work out in like steel mills and shit. I grew up on
yeah,
a
yeah,
farm. I go to steel mills. Like swearing's like a second language. I
yeah,
don't,
yeah,
I don't
you do
apologize
you.
for nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, that's what's up.
And here's the nice part about it too. I'm running on the libertarian ticket. They are
Yeah.
a lot more lax. Like, well, dude,
Yeah.
when we ran on the Republican ticket, there was always somebody fucking calling me up, being like, "You should probably take that off of your Facebook. You should probably take that meme down. You probably shouldn't do this." And I was like, dude, it was so rewarding when I finally unshackled myself.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So it's, and again, not I totally understand. Maybe the Lake County Dems are better. I don't know.
I see it. They're focusing on it, but um, I think it's such a District 11. If you look at the history, I think the closest election was like 20 points.
Yeah,
To be completely honest, unless you go back like 12 years, I believe, to
Mhm.
2014. So it's they're just happy someone's got a Democratic voice out there.
yeah,
Um, but so I don't really get any of that pushback, which is great. They kind of let me run the campaign I'm wanting to run and say the things I want to say. I'm sure if I went out of their platform, they might give me a little text, "Hey, I
yeah.
don't
If all of
know,"
a sudden you started
But
going like the
we
march
tend we
the
tend
march for
to
life.
I'm a Democrat, so I tend to agree with my party, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not,
and that's perfectly fair.
so
You're
it's
not
not
you're
too
you're not
much.
showing up in front of Planned Parenthoods like with,
Yeah,
with
right? Yeah.
signs or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what's I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What's the hardest question that you've
Yeah.
been asked so far in this campaign?
Ooh.
Hardest
So, I
or
think this
most
is my 2nd or 3rd.
controversial?
I mean, if I'm gonna be being honest, it's more of those federal issues because I know a lot of my like, people living in the district, they support Trump or they support conservative views, and getting people to understand that you can do split tickets and different things like
Mhm.
that. Those, like, federal issue questions kind of stump me out, how to just be honest about it, right? But also being cordial about it.
Yeah.
Not, I tend to be a very blunt person. You can ask my students, you can ask my family. I tend to be a blunt person. I tell it how I see it
I'm more of a pipe guy.
kind of person. So just kind of formulating responses that don't seem so divisive. A divisive person, I think I'm pretty not centrist, but moderate leaning,
Yeah.
going towards that liberal side. So I like I'm a Democrat that can say, "Oh, well, there are some things that Trump did okay, right?" I don't know as libertarian here if you would like this, but I liked Operation Warp Speed. I think he did all right on it. People might not agree with it. I think the marijuana thing that he did was good. I'm more of an isolationist. Like those kind of things, kind of making sure
Well,
that people know I'm a Democrat, but like I'm not gonna go down to Indy and go, anything that's rubber stamped by Republicans, I'm gonna just put my nope, nope, no vote. You know what I mean? Like, if it works for my district, I'm gonna vote for it. If it helps my district, I'm gonna vote for it. I'm gonna work with Republicans. So that's kind of the thing right now that I'm working on as a new candidate, I
yeah.
guess. I
There,
hope that makes sense.
Yep.
here's a question for you. I notice it between like
Yeah.
me and Travis, and then like the guys I work with, the older guys, the younger guys. There's a generational
Yeah.
gap. So, as a young candidate, what do you think you understand better than older politicians?
Oh.
Or,
Oh.
yeah, that's a tough one.
So the person I'm gonna be running against, yeah, it is. The person I'm running,
All them fucking
against
boomers.
I'm running against a guy that's 82 years old. Um, and one thing I wanna say is I'm gonna run an ethical campaign. I know he's probably a very good person, um, probably good dad, good grandfather, those kinda things, and he has the experience. Um But I think that sometimes older candidates just kind of lose touch because at least the guy I'm running against, doesn't he doesn't have any social media presence. So like I know that my ability to connect in that way um is better. He doesn't go to town halls, he doesn't host things like that, at least recently that I've seen. He doesn't contact people back from what I've seen. Or I mean, I've seen a couple people say he has, but not consistently. So there's that communication sometimes, I think is lost with older candidates. Um, and I think it's just sign of the times in some of those aspects. Trying to
Yeah.
be as respectful as I can here, but I think like you are representing people. You have to be
Yeah.
representative of the people um that you are talking to. You have to talk to them to know their ideas. You have to
Yeah.
hold town halls. You have to look at the comments and respond to the comments to be like, "Hey, yeah, I see that," or at least like it so that people can see that you're seeing what they're posting and their ideas. So I think that's one thing.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I think too, that's definitely something that I've seen across the whole spectrum. I mean, my God, you look at the past, what was the statistic? The last 5 presidents have all been born in the same fucking year. You know what I mean? Like you've got your candidate. I'm running against Ed Soliday. I have no idea how old he is. I'm sure late 70s, early 80s, probably
I
somewhere
met
between.
the Democrat for that one, and Ryan
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kamenekis. Sorry.
So funny enough, he's actually cousins with a family member on my girlfriend's side.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
But
so
he was
funny enough.
saying I believe he's 80. So I've been around Ryan a couple times, so
Yeah,
I believe he's,
he seems like a nice
Soliday's
guy.
80.
I haven't gotten a
Yeah,
chance to meet him yet. So funny
yeah,
enough, we both went for the same the gentleman that's running his social media account that's in the union. He had actually promised to run my social media account before because he's actually a
really?
libertarian, the guy running his
Okay,
shit.
okay, alright.
And then his union pegged him and he paid him. I can't compete with that.
Yeah,
So he was like, "Dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was the same race. I was gonna do." I'm like, "Dude, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's
It
okay."
happens, right?
Yeah, it
Sucks,
happens,
but
but
it happens,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. So
Yeah,
now I'm basically just kind of doing it myself. At least for now. I'm not really, I got a little bit of extra time. That's the
yeah,
nice part is we don't have a primary.
yeah.
I was already the libertarians, they do it by the county recommends me and then it goes down state. So next month they'll go down state and then I become the official candidate. It gets voted on by the libertarians down there.
Nice.
So we just straight convention.
There you go.
So it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's exactly the same. I mean, look at the dementia. I mean, even when Biden first ran, I was like, is anybody going to point out that this is practically elder abuse? He was clearly suffering from dementia, and I've had a grandfather that passed from Alzheimer's. We all know what dementia and Alzheimer's looks like. Even Trump at this point. I mean, Trump's not looking like a ball of fire anymore.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, I definitely think that there's a bit of an age jump that's happening,
And
as
we
far
need to
as people.
speak this into existence. There needs to be an age limit. We can have a good discussion. I know,
Yeah,
it might not sound great, but we have a minimum. There needs to be a maximum. I truly
I
believe it.
think I don't think age limits are necessary if we establish term limits.
Yeah, and I was gonna about to bring that up. We
Is
bring
is
up
that
term
something that's on the
limits.
top of your list?
Yeah, that's one that's on the top of my list. There shouldn't not be career politicians, at least in this state. So we don't really have control over the federal stuff, but at least we can talk about our state senators or our state reps, stuff like that, and term limit them.
Yeah.
Get new leadership. Stuff gets stale
Yeah.
and stuff people get disconnected. They get complacent. Just that's the psychological norm that people get once they have a job for a while. And I think that's one of the reasons we have so much distrust in our system. There's no change, there's no new leadership, there's no new voices. It's the incumbents always have the advantage. Like they always do. And usually the incumbents leave when they want to leave, unless
Yeah.
it's a really competitive district. So we need obviously, it would be tough because a lot of people are old down there, and a lot of people have been politicians down there for a while, but term limits and that, age limit too.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just the fact that it gets stale, it's the fact that the longer you're in there, the more likelihood that you start getting bought off.
Yeah,
And I don't mean like bought off in like The Godfather or Scarface or something like that. But you know what, man? These listen, I'm in sales. I'm
mhm,
in sales and I know how the system works. You go in and you bring in a box of donuts every time. You bullshit with the receptionist for a few minutes. You go in, you talk to him, you ask him about his kids. Maybe you don't ask him for any favors that time. You maybe 2, 3 visits, and then you go, oh, by the way, we got House Bill 193. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts on this? I'd really like it. And here's some box tickets to the Colts game.
yeah,
Don't let it affect your vote. Don't let it affect anything. But hey, like,
yeah,
that's how it works, and it gets real hard for somebody to see the same people down there, and that's why there really needs to be some reform on how money works in this. I mean, quite frankly,
yeah,
we've pulled up numbers on APAC stuff on this
yeah,
show, the number of candidates that have gotten money from APAC. They're not me personally with my campaign. There was money from NIPSCO with talking about that stuff. The
uh,
NISOR stuff that was Braun Soliday. They have a whole campaign of people. Look into that as well
yeah,
from
yeah,
one candidate, running for the same, basically in the same
yeah,
stuff as another.
yeah.
That's another thing to look into. That's I
But
mean,
even the political parties are that way. Sorry,
yeah, no,
I
no, go.
know,
Don't feel
you
free to
know,
interrupt me.
yeah, you know what I mean. So the Aylesworth, I think it was in 2018. Don't quote me on this, but he got tens of thousands of dollars just from the party, and I know that's common within and campaign and whatnot. But it's kind of as a thank you for not really giving us a hard time kind of
Yeah.
money. You know what I mean? And keep the incumbent happy, kind of thing. And that's common with those parties is make sure you vote yes on all the bills that we want you to vote for, and we got you coming up on this election.
Yep. Yep. And then it makes stuff like you talked about how you contacted Jim Banks. He's been one that we were a little disappointed in. Like, he voted for initially to limit the war powers and then changed his vote,
Yeah,
second time around. And we trust me, we had words about it on the show.
yeah, yeah,
And I've met him. I mean, he's from the region. He's a
yeah.
region boy. Well, man. I mean, he's an older guy now. But yeah, I remember when he first got into stuff. And, like, that's the stuff that's disappointing to me about politics in general. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like you get to know people and you see how they vote and you see that it just ends up, going along those. But
Yeah,
I have
I
a
don't know.
question. So
yeah.
another
It's
hard one.
crazy.
What's one bill that you could
This is what she
realistically
said.
co-sponsor with a Republican?
Mm.
Oh, you gotta go with a agricultural farming bill there, probably. Not to take the easy way out, but again,
If you're gonna.
but
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
but
I'm
it's
kidding.
but those are ones that we kind of find common ground on, like you guys mentioned. I'll bring up another one here.
Nah, I just bust your balls.
But the right to repair laws are quite important to your farmers. They get new equipment where they're put into a contract where they can't work on the equipment until they bring it to outside of the state or to another place where that company works on it, which costs them an arm and a leg. So we can work on those kind of things. Um, I don't have my rose tinted glasses on here, right? I know it would take a miracle for Dems to win the majority in the House in Indiana or anything like that, right? So is the voucher system going away? No. But we can set up, for example, this year they got rid of the max amount you can make if you're going to get a voucher. So there's no income max for a voucher this year starting in June 2026. So we can talk about reintroducing uh, restrictions when it comes to vouchers and the system there. Because if it's gonna be around, we gotta at least restructure it because think about it, we spend about $500 million in this voucher system. 70% of that money goes to kids that never set foot in a public school, right? That's crazy to me. It's supposed to be for kids that or families that usually would not get the opportunity to be in a private school, right?
Yeah.
And that's not happening because 50% of those people getting that $500 million make over $100,000. The average income of a household getting a voucher right now is $103,000. So,
I didn't know that.
uh,
That's
is
interesting.
and that's from the report from the Indiana Department of Education. That's the report that this state is giving out to us, showcasing to us. And they're still saying, "Oh, it's great, it's great, it's great." But in reality, is it doing what they promised? And I think we can fix that if we need to fix it. I would like to get rid of it. But again, I'm not unrealistic. You have to work in the parameters that you're
Yeah,
given.
yeah. You're not an
So,
absolutist. Like, it's not
yeah, yeah.
a yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not going, "Oh, my way or the highway." I understand that the job will have to be negotiating. That's politics. So,
Right.
I think there needs to be restrictions and some restructuring to it if that's something we have to do.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about the demolishing of the federal Department of Education? What do you think about it?
Oh, so here's my personal belief on this whole thing. I think our education system as a whole is broken. I don't know to have highly educated individuals or a country if we just leave it up to the states. I think Alabama, southern states are prime examples of this where the education is very low and the retainment of those things are very low. I think now they had their own problems, but the Department of Education was hopefully filling those gaps. At least I talked to some of my special education teachers that I work with in those areas requiring funds and giving funds where some schools aren't having enough of those. But yeah, we as a whole, the education system needs to be fully restructured. I think we need to have a more federally centered education system that requires a standard for most states. And then within those states, you can talk about minute details that fit your state. And particularly, you can talk about like history lessons, what works for your state, what doesn't, when we talk about the history of Indiana or Illinois. But I think we need a more, not, what's the word I'm looking for? Don't standardize, don't teach
Don't do
towards
standardized
standardized test.
testing.
Don't teach towards standardized testing, but teach towards the standard is kind of the idea of it. We have to set a standard for these states where they have to reach because education leads us to a better America. Again, if we're not educated as a country, then we have a dim future. I know that's bleak and everything. I
Right. Right.
fully believe that. And if you look at some of the best educated countries in the world, it's federally focused with a minimum standard that areas would have to meet, or the country or schools have to meet, and they have to meet that standard. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my idea on it.
And I get this. See, I always went like my mom again, like I said, my mom was a teacher for 20 some odd years, and she was always an interesting one. Is an interesting one. She's not like dead or anything. But she it was always interesting talking to her because she was like a more moderate Republican, but she was also big in teachers union.
Yeah.
So she was like a very moderate Republican, but also pro union teachers
Hmm.
union, a very Hebron, I mean, we grew up in Hebron,
Yeah.
so a very Hebron Republican, so to speak, like a
Yeah.
blue collar Republican. And so, I kind of asked her, and I said, well, "What are your thoughts about and she was like, I was all for it. She's like, I'll be honest with you, like let's get rid of the Department of Education. If you look at since the Department of Education was created, it's only gone down since. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like, the standards of what the levels have been of education in this country have only gone down since the creation of the Department of Education. And now, obviously, I'm looking at it from a libertarian view.
Yeah.
I almost always, and I truly believe that you can solve 90, I won't say 99%, but 94%. I'll just throw a number out there,
Meh.
high 90s, percent of problems by limiting government. And I think the government causes more problems than they start. So you've had it where all of a sudden all these teachers are all teaching towards a test, right?
Yeah.
So
That's yeah.
yeah, and we've got generations of that, and then we had generations of the government trying to push people. Me and Keith have talked about this on past episodes as well, where we had so many times where we would go into the guidance counselor and they pushed all of us into college. And what do we
Yeah.
got now? We got a huge college loan debt problem in this
Yeah.
country. And they said, "Oh, just go follow your heart. Follow
And
your
that's
heart, honey. Go and you just go do whatever you want to do, you little
yeah. And that's the problem though. Like I in my classroom, and I think that's when I say teach to the standard. Like I don't think that's why we have so much distrust in like the public opinion say we have distrust in the importance of higher education, let's say college and stuff like that, because we were all pushed it. And now the job retainment and everything like that after college is so low, right? Where
Right.
people that graduate college are looking for jobs when in reality, some of these people should go into the trades or go into the
Yeah.
military or go straight
Yeah.
into the workforce. And that's when I say like modernize our education. But we have to think about, okay, what do we need to know? What skills do we need to know? What are the information we need to know? And then have a track for these kids. And again, we're working on such an old system. For example, that whole we lowering the standards was a federal mandate. It was the No Kid Left
Yep.
Behind under
Bush Kennedy.
Bush.
Bush and with the Kennedy that killed the girl. Drove
Ted,
drove his car off the
Ted,
10?
yeah,
Okay.
Ted Kennedy.
Ted
But
Kennedy.
my understanding is that, and we start to see that standardized push right around that time. And it's not now about what do we know, it's about retainment. And I can promise you now retainment is at the lowest that we've ever seen. You have information at your fingertips. Why do I need to remember any of this? Is what these kids are thinking.
Yeah.
So we're not teaching to the times. And that's why like when people go, okay, well, I want to increase funding. Yeah, that's great. We do need to increase funding because teachers are working without the resources they need, and teachers are working two jobs, and students don't have the things that they need in school. But like, you also have to think the system is outdated,
Yeah.
and no one's talking about that. I originally never wanted to be a politician. I'm going to get my master's because I wanted to go into education reform. That was like my thing. And then I was like, all right, well, I need to step up because no one's speaking these things into the universe. No one's talking about that. It needs to be modernized. It needs to, and I don't think that you're going to get that modernization with states controlling it. Some states think like the issue at hand is putting the 10 commandments on the wall and not having people read at grade level for God's sakes. I
Yeah,
struggle with
that's
kids reading at middle school level and I teach 5th and 12th graders. Like bringing these kids back to the level that they should be, especially after COVID, a pandemic, is what we should be focusing on. And that's why I say like I think it needs to be a federal change. It needs to be a federal restructure. And you can't really do that when you're losing that whole Department of Education, kind of to round that back to your point there.
no, and that's fair.
So, yeah.
Well,
So,
we are at
Keith,
an hour.
I could yap all day about education,
Oh
sorry.
yeah, we're,
honestly, I'll be real honest with you, brother. I'd like to have you back. I think this has been fun.
Yeah, this is great. I've been, enjoying this.
well,
Same.
we're at an hour and three, coming up to. We try to cut them off about an hour. I mentioned to you. I don't know if you watched it. I
Yeah,
mentioned
roughly
to
an
you
hour.
Dion's Daily Dose. I don't know if you watched this show. I
Yes,
Mhm.
sent you the
that
clip,
I recommend it.
but he's wanting to.
No, not
He's basically wanting to put together a political roundtable, like for regional state stuff around here, and looking for a
yeah,
Democrat possibility. But
I
Well, and
would be down.
it's
I would love to
interesting
do it.
because
I
he
want
is
to be part of those conversations.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and that'd be fun because so we wanted to start doing like a monthly thing with
Okay.
him. So we met Dion and reach out. We'll send you his info because he does. So his show is basically he does just a straight up political show. He's a Republican and he's in Laporte and he ran for Congress once. I think he's ran from some other stuff, but he's a good dude and he's out of Laporte. So this would be interesting because we'd have like you in Lake County, us in Porter
Mhm.
County, him in Laporte. He's a Republican, you're a Democrat, I'm a Libertarian, he's an independent. I mean, you couldn't get a much more,
Diverse group, right?
so yeah, and so what we'd
Politically,
love to do
ideology
is
meaning, yeah.
is is just basically do like Keith said, like a political roundtable. Maybe not once every other month. We talked about doing it like when there's important shit, like
Yeah.
State of the Union address. Like we watch it in real time. We set it up like
Hopefully, it's not
something.
3 hours this time around. God.
Yeah,
I don't know if
something.
I can watch that in another 3 hours, but
Right,
I would
right.
be down for that, yeah.
Well, it's only 3 hours because it's the best. It's the
It's
best political State of the Union address you've ever seen.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I did definitely think, but also though, Dion does his own, Dion's Daily Dose is the name of it.
Yeah.
Reach out to him because he does interviews with just straight up candidates. Like,
Okay. Yep.
like if you're just looking for some good,
And he
a good
doesn't do like
outlet just
gotcha
to sit down.
questions or any stuff like that.
Yeah. He
It's
doesn't
a
do it
fair
as a
shake, you know.
Republican. He does it to give candidates
Yeah,
a
yeah. And again, like, I don't even mind gotcha questions. I've been asked gotcha questions, and you know what?
yeah,
That's part of it. That's how I feel about it. That's part of it, and I'm gonna have to answer those questions so at
that's
some
true.
point, right? So
When I was running for town council, I got to tell you this. This is a gotcha question that I was like, unbelievable. We went shopping. We were in Walmart in Valpo, and I had a guy come up to me from Hebron, and he goes, "I have a question. What's your take on abortion?" And I said, "Well, I'm running for town council, so does my take really matter?
yeah,
I'm going to have
yeah,
nothing to
yeah,
do with it." And then here's what blew my mind. His daughter, she was married to, I think the guy was in the army or something, and they're overseas. How do I feel if she got pregnant and then he died? Would it be okay if she had an abortion? And I said, why would you want to? This
Yeah,
is a
that's
gotcha question as a town councilman. I'm like, I have
yeah,
nothing to
yeah,
do with
yeah.
this.
That has nothing to do with you. That's, I guess, at this point, a state question, but yeah.
yes. Yeah,
So
that's definitely a
So I have
the state question,
I
yeah.
have one more question for you to kind of close it out. I want you to imagine a voter who distrusts Democrats, politicians, and young candidates. Imagine an old guy that is disenfranchised.
old man yells at clouds.
In the 1 to 2 minutes, how could you convince them to give you a chance?
Ooh, elevator speech. Elevator speech.
Elevator speech. First off, I'm not my party. I am running in the party, but I'm Tyler Bridges, and I think a politician personally should be worried about the constituents that they're representing, the person that they're representing. I'm going to vote what I think is best for people, but also if it's not a good vote, I'm going to listen to you, tell me off. That's part of the job. I'm going to also listen to you when you think I should hear an idea. Because again, I'm not the only one that will have a good idea. People down in Indy are not the only people that will have a good idea. Discussions lead to good ideas. Disagreements lead to good ideas. And can you say that about your representative today? Is he willing to listen to people? Is he willing to go on a Democratic podcast? I'm absolutely ecstatic at the possibility of going on to a Republican podcast. I like, again, I want people to have those discussions. And I'm going to respect your point of view because at the end of the day, am I going to change your political belief on abortion or different, like really heated topics? Right? No, but I'm going to respect you. And I think that at the end of the day is very important. And that's kind of my core ethics on this. And I think that is what is distinguishable between the party and the distrust of young people or distrust of the Democratic Party. I'm my own person and I'm going to be as respectful, listen as much as possible, and reflect as much as possible when going for bills, voting yes for bills, voting no for bills, going to town halls, all of those things. And I think that's extremely important to all of it. So,
Awesome. Well, speaking of town halls, I'd also like to put out there that
yes,
February 17th at 6 o'clock, you're going to be live at the DeMont Public Library. And then on February 25th at 4:30, you'll be at the Hebron Library. So if anybody listening would like
yes.
to come out and meet you, you are district.
Absolutely. Please come out and ask those questions. That DeMont one, we might have a special guest showing up, another candidate. So be on the
Obama?
lookout on the Facebook. So
Another one
hey, show up,
you could
show up.
Maybe.
another one you
Maybe.
could talk to in Hebron. Do you know John Spinks Jr.? He's the town council
Yeah,
president.
yeah, I heard. Yes, I've reached out. Let's say that.
He's a
I've reached
Democrat
out.
and
Yep.
he's also a teacher. So you might have a lot in common with
Yes,
him.
he teaches over at, KV, I
Yep.
believe, is what I've heard,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken. So, yep, I've reached out. I'm looking forward to speaking with him. I've also talked to Don
And
Emison or
Ensign,
Ensign.
Don Ensign.
Ensign. Yes, Don Ensign. Yeah. So
He's kind of like
I'm not great with last names. Sorry.
he's the
You're all
old
right.
bull in Hebron.
Yep.
I guess you.
Yep. Yep. And
He was
that's
the
what.
Hebron Town
Yep.
Council president when I was on the council.
Yep.
Yep. And he was a good conversation as well. So I'm looking forward to
Yeah, he's a
speaking
nice
to
guy.
everyone from Hebron and Demont and everything. And just having a good conversation.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah,
Well,
and
awesome.
that's the whole point of it, right? I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
All right, all right. I
I
won't
wanna
pontificate any longer.
I wanna thank you for coming on. Definitely,
Thank you for having me.
we'll get a hold of Dion, see if you can get on his show and talk to him, and we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I look forward to coming back.
Yep.
Hell yeah, man. Looking forward to it. Yeah,
All right.
we'll get this done up and we'll get that put out and yeah, we'll reach it out. Obviously, share it. You know,
Yep.
we're
Let me
more than
know.
happy to
I will be sharing it. Getting it out there.
Yep.
yeah.
So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Sounds
absolutely.
good. Well, hey,
I'm
thank you
Keith
so much for coming
Cunningham.
on, man.
This is
And
Travis
Travis
Gearhart.
Gearhart. And we are
Disenfranchised.
Disenfranchised.
All right, cut.